Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the NXT review of August 1st of 2018 review. I have to say, Tommaso Ciampa, I'll tell you folks, he is the fucking best heel in professional wrestling right now. There ain't no heel that's got more heat on him than anybody else. Kayfabe, people actually legitimately dislike him. It don't matter. He is by far the best heel in a very, very long time, and the best heel in professional wrestling of this year. He's been outstanding on the microphone. He has been outstanding as an in-ring performer, and he plays the role perfectly. He reminds me a lot of Triple H in a very sick, sadistic, twisted way. Sorry. But yeah, I honestly think that Tommaso Ciampa has a lot of promise in his career. Seeing him on the main roster, I don't think I want to ever see him on the main roster, because the main roster, as sad as this is to say, because you should be wanting to move up in the company to a higher stage, but because of how the main roster is run, who the fuck would want to? This is where it's at. In all of WWE, NXT is the proper way WWE should be going. They got everything going for it. Good storyline telling, simplistic booking, nothing difficult. We had 2 announcements made. Ricochet is facing Adam Cole for the NXT North American Championship. We're seeing EC3 and Velveteen Dream go one-on-one in a matchup for the at the NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4 event. We are getting proper settings and progression towards the reason why the match has happened. WWE rushes everything. But getting off of WWE, this is about NXT. This is what I do on a weekly basis. I may not produce video after video, day after day, but I at least produce one video a week, and that is NXT. I do have a busy life with my job and so forth. It gets a little tiring to try to keep up with videos day after day, so it's a little difficult for me to do. We're trying to do that and do this and watch wrestling content and provide you guys information on my thoughts and opinions. But NXT, I don't pass up on you guys. I gotta at least produce one fucking video a week, and this is the best thing to fucking review. Quite frank with you guys, Johnny Gargano made me laugh tonight. I actually did laugh during his moment where he ran towards the ring while Aleister Black was coming out after Tommaso Ciampa did a 10-minute speech. And he ran down the ramp and into the ring. Tommaso Ciampa ran away into the crowd and tried to get out of the arena as quickly as he possibly could. Johnny Gargano kept saying repeatedly, "The only reason why you're champion is because of me. The only reason why you're champion is because of me." I kept saying to myself, Gargano, you may want to consider to stop saying you're only champion because of me. Because the truth of the matter is, he wouldn't have been champion on account of you if you would have just stayed the fuck out of the match. Aleister Black would have still stayed champion. Aleister Black eventually, once he turned around, gave him a nice swift kick to the fucking skull. As expected. Very funny and very deserving by Aleister Black to Johnny Gargano. Funny part is, Johnny Gargano is the face of NXT against Tommaso Ciampa. Only one problem. They didn't want Tommaso Ciampa winning the title, so they chanted, "You deserve it." Unfortunately, that's not really a chant that Johnny Gargano wants to hear, at least in storyline progression, because it's making him look like the buffoon that he is, having an obsession trying to destroy Tommaso Ciampa's career and run as NXT World Champion, which he was very unsuccessful. So far, not so good for Johnny Gargano. Tommaso Ciampa is reaping the benefits of every mistake that Johnny Gargano gives him. Or makes. So unfortunately for Aleister Black, he loses a championship that he really never should have lost in the first place. Now, with that being said, that doesn't hurt Aleister Black in any way, shape, or form, because he's just a victim of wrong place, wrong time, and he's in the middle of this storyline that is very, very good, that should be on one of them as a world champion. As I mentioned before, Aleister Black became World Heavyweight Champion, that one of them should have won the NXT World Championship and rivaled over that belt. But at the same time, it was well worth it because of the fact of the obsession that Johnny Gargano is getting from seeing Tommaso Ciampa succeed and beat him in a matchup, and then he's trying to screw him, and he fails at trying to screw him over in his own title match. So it creates more tension, which is a very good thing for them to have, at least for this storyline. It reminds me a lot of Shawn Michaels versus Triple H. It was a perfect storyline for it's the perfect storyline. The way they made Shawn Michaels and Triple H back in the day, in 2002 all the way up to 2004. They had a 2-year rivalry on and off throughout the entire time. It was the perfect setup. They did it terrifically. I don't know about picture perfect, but they did it the right way to contain that storyline, to build and build and build for at least 2 years. And finally, after 2 years, to 2004, after it being on and off, they ended it at Hell in the Cell. This storyline that they got going on here needs to happen at Hell in the Cell. This is the perfect setup to end this storyline. They need to have these two guys be at a Hell in a Cell match. To be perfectly honest with you guys, I honestly feel that they should do a crossover of NXT and WWE and give NXT the main event for the Hell in a Cell match at Hell in a Cell if they were to have that. I don't know if they're going to. But if they are, they need to give it to them. Because Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa got the best fucking storyline going. And if they perform in front of a 15,000 attendance crowd, the freaking pay-per-view will get over. And not to mention a lot of people will go home happy with a very, very well-built storyline for a matchup like that. Chances of that happening is slim to fucking none. But at the end of the day, being real with you guys, their storyline needs to end at Hell in a Cell. Now, they could do that at the NXT TakeOver during the WrestleMania weekend. They could have that match anyway. That would be a perfect idea. But I would really like to start seeing NXT have their moment on the WWE main roster pay-per-views. I mean, I think that would bring competition within the main roster. But then again, what the fuck do I know? I'm not running WWE. A 70-year-old plus man by the name of Vince McMahon is running WWE. Triple H only runs NXT, and he's doing a fantastic job at that. Heavy Machinery, by the way, had a matchup with The Mighty. This matchup was decent at best. I was not dissatisfied with it. It was okay. This match was a 3 out of 5 stars. Pretty decent. Then we had Mustache Mountain going up against an Enhancement Talent tag team, which was a decent matchup as well. But, it ended very quickly, putting over Mustache Mountain. They won their match. I give it a 2.5 out of 5 stars, and that's only because of the Enhancement Talent they were facing. It was just a squash match. I don't care for squash match. The squash match is too much. Then we go into EC3 versus Kuno Reeves. I don't care for Kuno Reeves whatsoever. I don't even think I'm pronouncing his first name right. And I don't really give a shit because he fucking absolutely sucks. Thank God Velveteen Dream came out during this matchup to just cut a small promo in the middle of this match, because it's not EC3's fault for this match to suck. But, Mr. Reeves, you gotta get your fucking shit packing and go somewhere else, because you absolutely suck. You don't belong in WWE or fucking even NXT for that matter. You blow, man. You're worse than any fucking worker that's ever come into WWE. I'd have to say he's by far the worst wrestler I've ever seen in my life. Maybe someone's worse than him, but right now, in modern day wrestling right now, out of all people I've seen perform in a ring, he is by far the fucking worst. He's boring, he's bland, and the only thing he's got going for him is fucking gold chains and freaking a gimmick that really doesn't belong to him whatsoever. I do not see him as being the finest. I do not see him being anything more than a fucking loser. That's all he is, a fucking loser who I could give two shits less about being on the NXT roster. If there is one thing on NXT I don't like, that's him. I can't stand him. But EC3, decent match. I'll give it a 3 out of 5 stars because of the fact he was in it. Velveteen Dream helped this match even though he was interfering in the middle of the match by cutting a promo. He's telling him, come with me to the dream. I forgot what he said, but he said some really funny shit. Velveteen Dream reminds me of Shawn Michaels in so many different ways. I think if they put him in more masculine clothes with the long earrings, looking like Shawn Michaels, and he plays the same character he is playing now, he'd be picture perfect. I have nothing against Velveteen's Dream character. I just think he could wear more masculine clothes. I don't think that is really something he needs to be walking around looking like he's a feminine type male wrestler. I think that's kind of awkward and bizarre. But apparently, I guess that was part of his whole gimmick to begin with. Point being, after the match was over, they went backstage with EC3 and he said, I'll go on his little bullshit charade that he's got going on, and I'll drink his Kool-Aid, I'll take his blue pill or purple pill, whatever fucking color pill he said, and I'll go on this wonderful dream ride that he's got going for himself, and when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, I'm going to kick his ass. It's going to be a fight. That's what it's going to be. EC3 has not changed one single bit since he left Impact Wrestling. And the way he was with Impact Wrestling was the perfect character he needed to be. And the way they got him now, same person. Straight line, best thing they could do, with a little bit of a tweak to his character with the 1%, and you're good to go. I love the gimmick. I like his personality. Same personality with a tweaked gimmick. I think it's a perfect thing that they're doing with him, and I hope they continue to do it. I hope at some point in 2019, at some point, he becomes the NXT World Champion. I believe at that time in 2019, he will deserve it. He is building some momentum. Do I hope he beats Velveteen Dream at the NXT TakeOver event? Absolutely not. I don't believe Velveteen Dream deserves another loss on his record. He needs to walk away victorious. He cannot afford another loss. EC3 is a little bit lower than he is in level of competition. EC3 just started out. Velveteen Dream is a guy that's been there for almost a year now. He deserves the opportunity to have a really good match with EC3. They both are going to look good. I know that for a fact. Give the win to Velveteen Dream. He needs it more than EC3 does. EC3 has been, winning here and mostly winning with a loss here or there. But Velveteen Dream, he deserves a big pay-per-view win here to help boost his reputation within NXT to eventually get him to the NXT World Title. Because quite frank with you, I think that after Johnny Gargano captures the NXT World Championship, the next man in line that should beat him for that NXT World Title should be Velveteen Dream, because he is a guy that deserves to have that belt around his waist. Bottom line. Now, moving on from that, Shayna Baszler going one-on-one with Candice LeRae. Very good matchup. 3.5 out of 5 stars. Candice LeRae needs some work on her in-ring wrestling ability, but she's got it down. She reminds me a lot of her husband. She's got a lot of grit, a lot of determination. She needs to be a little bit more solid in the ring, but other than that, the heart that she put into the match made me feel invested in watching her match, despite the fact that I saw some mishaps that she did in this matchup. She wasn't very solid with her moves. The one corner spot that she did, it didn't look very impactful with Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler sold that pretty well, but the thing is, you could tell it wasn't hurting her whatsoever, but she was trying to sell it as best as she could to make it look believable to the audience. But at the end of the day, Candice LeRae did not do the best job in making it look believable, as well as Shayna Baszler selling it for the crowd. So that's the whole situation on that. Shayna Baszler did walk away victorious by putting in the rear naked choke and making her tap out at the end of the match. Kairi Sane got in the middle of the ring to stop Shayna Baszler after Shayna Baszler applied the hold once again after the match was over. Shayna Baszler, by that point, went ahead and played a little bit of mind games by attacking Kairi Sane and kind of pissing her off a little bit and walking away with the title up in her hands. So, she's pretty much playing the same, scheme here with all of her other opponents. She gets in their heads, get them pissed off, want them to chase her, and she just stands there smiling like, hey, you ain't fucking hurting me. And honestly, I think that needs to happen. Shayna Baszler needs to retain the title against Kairi Sane. Kairi Sane right now does not need that title. Honestly, Shayna Baszler is the best female wrestler in WWE right now. Ronda Rousey is awesome too. I have to give her credit, but her gimmick, the way she's played out on TV in WWE's main roster, it's horrible. I don't like it. I don't like it. She's like a fucking Hulk Hogan, phony baloney bullshit. I want Ronda Rousey being what she was in UFC. She wasn't this play to the crowd, make them all smile and happy and joyful about fucking being at a UFC event. Her idea is get in the ring, or the octagon, I should say, and beat the living shit out of her opponent until she walks out victoriously. And that's what we should see from Ronda Rousey in WWE. Instead, I see a fucking Hulk Hogan eat your vitamins, say your prayers bullshit. Now, I mean, if you're a fan of Hulk Hogan back in the day, you liked what he did, well, good for you. I wasn't buying any of that bullshit as I got older. When I was a young kid, I was naive and stupid, so I didn't know any better. But bottom line is, guys, Shayna Baszler is the best female wrestler going right now. She's better than Ronda Rousey based on character alone. In-ring work, they're pretty much even, maybe Ronda Rousey a bit above her. But other than that, Shayna Baszler is the best fucking female wrestler going right now. If you put those two women together in a one-on-one matchup, you would get a fucking golden match. They'd make every female wrestling match that ever happened in WWE history suck dick. Make it look like shit. Those two women know how to fight because they were former MMA fighters. And if they could get that to happen at some point down the line, I will be super ecstatic to see that happen. Right now, Shayna Baszler's NXT, Ronda Rousey's in WWE's main roster. So, right now it's just a bunch of bullshit talk coming out of my mouth and a dream match that may or may not happen. But that's not the case here or there. Point being, I think Shayna Baszler is going to retain this title against Kairi Sane, and if not, I'm going to be very shocked and surprised by this. Because technically, if you think about it, they need to even up the score anyway. So that's just my opinion. But yeah, that's pretty much the whole review of NXT's episode. I pretty much nailed everything tick for tat on this entire episode. Like I said, Tommaso Ciampa was very good on the microphone tonight, as always. The crowd was amazing with their reaction to him being the NXT World Champion. And there was one part I forgot to mention that I actually would like to tell you guys what I thought should have happened. Tommaso Ciampa walked up to an elderly woman in the crowd that was there during the World Championship match. And he said to her, you know, I do remember you during the time that I was having this match last week. And, you know, I just wanted to say one thing to you, and that's, I'm your NXT World Champion. I wish that she would have touched the microphone, just put it towards her face, or Tommaso Ciampa let her say something. And she said, if it would have been nice for her to say, Tommaso, you ain't shit to me. That would have been the funniest. She was standing there the whole time, though, on screen, and she was just smiling because she thought the whole thing was fucking hilarious. She was really a trooper during that whole point in that promo. I gotta give that lady a lot of credit. She was pretty fucking cool. Tommaso Ciampa, he was interacting with the crowd. When have you seen that? I mean, come on, man. WWE doesn't even do that anymore. They don't even acknowledge their fans. That is something that's a small bit of detail that WWE throws away nowadays. They don't even interact with the crowd anymore like they used to. What Tommaso Ciampa did was very similar to what I've seen of an extreme version of what ECW did with their crowd. They just did a small touch of interacting with the crowd, talking to the crowd, getting them pissed off, making them upset, and making them want to interact with the guy they can't stand. That is what WWE needs to do. WWE doesn't do that. Give you guys just a small taste. You got Brock Lesnar. And then I'm going to cut this video after this because I've just kind of done the comparison what WWE's main roster does and what NXT does. And I really got to stop doing that because it's not even that important right now because NXT is WWE more than WWE's main roster itself. But you got Brock Lesnar on Monday Night Raw this past week, and he used to be a guy that, before this whole storyline came about with Roman Reigns facing him for the third fucking time this year, that he would just come out with Paul Heyman, they'd do their shtick, he'd leave. He'd kick a little ass, leave during a segment on Monday Night Raw, and that'd be it. Last night, Brock Lesnar is sitting there in a locker room looking at a fucking magazine and not giving a flying fuck, acting as if a totally different person. Now, granted, we already knew that Brock Lesnar only cared about the money he was making with Vince McMahon and WWE itself. He didn't really care about, the interacting, how to elevate other superstars that he competed against. The only thing he cared about was getting in the middle of that ring and beating the holy shit out of people. That's his whole gimmick. That's who he was, per se, in real life. So, he just came there, he met his requirements, his dates that he was scheduled for, what he was getting paid for his in-ring competition, and then he left. And that was it. This past Monday, he doesn't act like he gave a flying fuck about none of this. All just to help persuade the fans to like Roman Reigns. And honestly, nobody cares about Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar. So you got two guys that's main eventing a big pay-per-view of the summer to end the summer. That's a big pay-per-view, and you're making them main event this show, and yet nobody gives a fuck about either one of them. They could care less if Brock Lesnar wins or Roman Reigns wins. They hate them both. They hated them both at WrestleMania 35. Or 34, excuse me. I'm getting way ahead of myself. WrestleMania 34. They were booing them out of the fucking Superdome. I find this to be extremely stupid. And yet, we got a storyline with Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. That's picture perfect. A recipe made for success. For either one of they choose to have go over to end this storyline. It doesn't matter which, because either way, they both succeed. No matter which way it goes. Because they are so goddamn good at what they've done with this storyline. Now, if they would have done that with Roman Reigns being a bad guy and going up against somebody that's more worthy to face Roman Reigns, and have Brock Lesnar being really good grudge matches with some other stars that really deserve to have a main event shot against a big name like Brock Lesnar, we'd actually have something going for ourselves, and we actually would be emotionally invested, besides just booing Roman Reigns, to actually have a reason to hate him. He's being placed legitimately in front of our own eyes, without being, manipulated like him. We're being played in front of our own eyes the truth of what's really going on behind the scenes. Roman Reigns is a favored guy. He's a company man. He doesn't give a fuck. And he really don't. He don't care that if the fans cheer him, boo him, or what have you. He's not out there smiling. He's out there to win. That's all he cares about. He wants to win. He wants to be the world champion. He wants to main event the main events of all shows, major pay-per-views, and so on and so forth. He wants to be the face of the WWE. Come on, this is all spells the same thing that they did 4 years ago, or 5 years ago in late 2013 with Randy Orton. Roman Reigns is Randy Orton, and Batista rolled into one. Roman Reigns needs to be a heel. That's it, bottom line. As everybody else probably have said before. Roman Reigns works better as a heel. He's more believable, he's less pushed, and not to mention, it'll give the crowd even more reason to fucking hate his guts. And you'll have a terrific heel to go up against a very good face that you build up to face him. That's it. Anyway, guys, leave your comments and opinions down below of what you guys thought about the NXT event that happened tonight. And I'll get back to you on that. Also, hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel, and hit the like button if you liked the video. Thanks a lot, guys, for watching, and I hope you have a great night.